All right, my name is Will Penman. I'm coming from Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon. I came to KairosCamp to work on a project about analyzing YouTube parodies of Siri. Right before I got here, I had this vision of almost the entire project being conducted by video. So there were two things that I got to work on at KairosCamp. The first, kind of roughly mapping to the first week, was conceptual. I learned that you can do storyboarding, and all you have to do is use PowerPoint to do that. So this was my first effort at natively multimodally composing. And I just wanted to show one of the affordances of that. So one of the goals of this video that I'm storyboarding, it's the second one, and it's broadly trying to give intellectual background about identity, which is like a semester's worth of information that I'm trying to pack into about 3 minutes. And because I'm looking for things to go in the video, then that shapes what I'm looking for. And so one example is to talk about power as it relates to identity, such a small topic. And one of the ways that I go about that is by drawing on Mean Girls. So the top half is kind of what would visually be there, and then the bottom half is reference for my notes. So my plan is to have this clip running in the background and the script to say something like, what something says about you is partly determined by others. In Mean Girls, a movie about high school cliques, Regina George used to be in charge of, Regina George used to be in charge of her friends, but in this scene, the other girls are able to take advantage of her waning power. You're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday. With their new power, they enforce a standing rule that links what each girl wears to her group membership. You can't sit with us! So there's kind of a lot of things going on there, especially trying to rethink of high school as prototypical of our identity building rather than a horrible aberration. So that's just one example of how I would use an example because of this method of composing that I never would have thought of if I'm composing highfalutin scholarly text. So that was roughly my first week, and where this has gotten me is out of the 5 videos, I've almost finished storyboarding the second one. So my plan is to continue working on creating that script so that by the end of August I can submit to a works in progress workshop with a lot of people who study AI. Hopefully I can get accepted, get some good feedback from that conference in October, and then potentially work this into a production-ready version that I can send off potentially to Kairos by late this year. So that was the first part. Second part is interactive. If everyone could take out their phones, go into your browser, and go to 10 dot, like the number 10, 10.255.58.165. It's not even done. Colon 8080. So that's 10.255.58.165 colon 8080.
I should warn y'all that the connection down here is super shitty.
But it still works.
Awesome.
Okay. And so what you should be seeing is a responsive version of the future website. That's because I learned about this thing called HTTP server that I learned how to run. So even though this is just on my computer, it's also on your phones because we're on the same Wi-Fi network. And I also learned to use this to see what it would look like if you have a large phone or a small phone or you're in some kind of weird mix. What you should notice is that other than the ugly next and previous buttons, but custom, if you're on your phone, you can actually swipe in between these. And so, oops, this is not as responsive because those are pictures. But so these are placeholder images for each of the 5. And there's a little bit of an abstract at the beginning. And this first video is actually active, which is a prototype that I made in the first couple days, and I just wanted to show you kind of the feel of how I'm hoping for this video series to look. What would it be like if Siri knew that you were black? This video, called Racist Siri, shows one possibility.
What's a good place to hike around here?
There is a basketball court 3 blocks east.
In each request, Siri draws on stereotypes of black people to subvert the man's requests.
Siri, what's my schedule for today?
Appointment with your parole officer.
So does that mean you can't recognize race or ethnicity without being racist? Here's another possibility. In this video, called If Siri Was Mexican Part 2, Siri also subverts the speaker's request.
Take me to the nearest McDonald's.
Butcher Abuela dinner.
But in this case, the fact that Siri is Mexican helps the man affirm his family and not be so individualistic. Notice that grandmother, being in Spanish, emphasizes the culturally specific forms of family obligations. Here, the identity that Siri takes on is important to how she interacts and what services she provides. Great. So, thank you very much.